Good morning. So I want to just start off by echoing my message from last week, again this week, and then every session we have through the end of the year. If you want to have closings and money in the first quarter of next year, these next 2.5 months will dictate that outcome for you. So if you don't want to end up in debt, and you don't want to end up in a mental black hole, this is the time that you need to actively be reaching out to people in your database. The holidays are one of the best opportunities you have to reach out to people, especially those ones that you've orphaned and have not spoken to in a while. Thanksgiving gratitude video works really well, holiday cards, and then having a meaningful follow-up plan is really important. So calendar your days off, and when you're off, you're off. And when you're not off, this is the time to put the extra time in. You know, as people and sales cycles kind of slow down at the end of the year, you have the time to work, right? So don't waste the time going to all these holiday parties and everything. And just remember this quote from me. Everything you say yes to that you shouldn't, you're saying no to something that really matters. There's only 24 hours in a day. And how we invest that 24 hours will dictate the outcome of our life. Use a Pomodoro clock. It will change your productivity forever. So now, ladies and gentlemen, on to our featured presentation, seller engagement. How engaged are your sellers in your sales process? You notice I said your sales process, not the one they thought up in their mind. So you can either train people on how to treat you, or you can react to how somebody feels. Now tell me which one you want or which one doesn't work. Reacting to how other people feel, right? So the first premise in this is if you don't outline the rules of the game, you're stuck to whatever people think. Do people think that you have a job that they can call you anytime for anything? Yeah. Remember the world when there were house phones? A seller would not call your house phone at 10 p.m. at night. One of the challenges with technology, it has eliminated boundaries of communication that have existed for decades. And the other part is, the second part is, if your clients are chasing you for information and updates, that does not feel good for them, nor is it a luxury service. So can anyone tell me when the actual engagement process with the seller begins?
When they call you and say they are thinking of selling.
Okay, fair point. Upon first contact, right? So number one, that is correct. So now you're engaging them in your process, right? Going in their process is, can I ask you a few really important questions so we can solely focus our time together on what's most important to you? The Med C. It's taking that input of information to get outputs, right? If you look at ChatGPT, it is solely based on inputs and outputs. It's very similar to your life. The input, like the time you put into things dictates the output of what comes out of it, right? So you're now engaging them in the process. So now imagine someone's like, oh no, we could just go through this stuff when we meet. I could say respectfully, is one of the reasons you called me because a lot of sellers are based on referrals, right? Are sellers generally cold internet leads? No, they're generally referrals, right? You're gonna say one of the ways that we're able to get such a client-centered experience and result is by following this process. So this will only take 3 to 5 minutes and it will be really helpful for you. Remember, it's about them. Now, the next place you have to engage clients is in your marketing calendar. Yes or no, say it in the chat. Do we tell our sellers that we're going to be doing a lot of different things for them? 100%. So this is your next opportunity to engage them. when we're living in a world today, tomorrow, the next day, and all the years after, unless they overturn this whole stupid settlement. It's not like I don't have any mixed feelings on this or anything. It makes no sense, but you are in a world where people are constantly going to be looking at what do I get? What do you do in exchange for the compensation I pay? And when you're paying somebody 60, 70, 80, $90,000, which is many great employees' annual salaries, there is a microscope like you're an ant and it's amplifying the sun on you in terms of what you do. So this, in my perspective, has to be so buttoned up. You know, you meet those people that are so buttoned up where everything is like this. Like you get emails and recaps and things, you're just like, wow, like how do they do this, right? And if you look at Disney and you go to Disney, they have the most amazing operation system where you don't ever see the characters, you don't see the garbage, there are tunnels underneath that things go down. Like you don't know how the magic happens, but you just know that everything you want is just there and it's simple, right? And it's done for you. You don't have to think about any of these things. So when you go through a prospective marketing calendar, that's your opportunity to engage them into process. Like this is how we launch properties. I've been talking to people about this for like the last, I would say like 7 to 10 days. I have never in my life, and nor will I ever understand why, who here has met a seller? It's like, I have to have my property on by this week. You ever hear that? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I would say, make a face like this. I'd be like, I'm confused. Shrug, what are you confused about? Is there a negative consequence if we don't have your property on by Saturday? Is the bank going to come foreclose your home? Is there some sort of lien that has to be satisfied? Is there some contract that you have signed that requires the home to be on market for? No. So please help me understand what specifically is so important to you where you're potentially willing to leave a significant sum of money out by not following the process that maximizes your equity. I'm like, okay. So you want to show them the calendar. Now, the benefit to you as an agent in operating this way is you can now organize your weeks for photo days, launch days. Like you can plan your work on purpose. Now, if I were all of you, I would then take the marketing calendar and build it into a Google Calendar and share the calendar with them. Ask them to use a Google Calendar or an Apple Calendar. We're learning this too, right? They're not everyone, unbeknownst to me, even though your Gmail at Compass is through Google, people still use Apple calendars. So we know for next year, we're going to have to make Apple calendars. That's life. So you ask them their preferred calendar method. You're going to say, you know, would it be helpful if we organized all of these dates and key events and everything else into a calendar? Yeah, that would be great. Miriam has self-identified as one of those Apple people. Well, I think the whole world actually is going to change to Apple calendars when this Apple AI is going to come out because it literally acts as your assistant and everything else. So I think you'll see a massive shift of people going to Apple calendars. So think about it. This is another opportunity for you to engage your seller into a process. When things are predictable, they feel good because remember, people like certainty and comfort. Also, in terms of engaging them, you're engaging them one way or another. You're engaging them in unorganized or in your mind, organized chaos, or just an organized process. Imagine we have a stager coming by, we have these contractors coming by, we have photos coming by, we have videos coming by. We're going to launch your property on this day. We're going to do this. Like, did you hear, like, to someone else, that's just overwhelming. Versus, I'm going to reframe this, Cherish, this is for you since you like the frames. You're going to say, look, launching and maximizing equity in a home is a complicated process with a lot of moving parts, but our goal is to make complicated things simple. So what we do is we effectively build our launch strategy once we align on it into a customized calendar that will give you all the key dates, all the appointments down to when we have showings in your home so we can have everything in one place. Would that be helpful for you? Who's going to say no to that? Would that create a very different experience for your client? Yep. So where is the next place that we can engage the clients, right? The next place we can engage the clients is in showings. By adding the showings to the calendar, going through in the communication plan, how showing feedback works. We'll get to the communication part after, right? And then just adding a link with a Google Doc with all the showing feedback on it. So if Jody in Denver showed my property, I would write, called for feedback, texted for feedback, emailed for feedback, no answers, tried 4 times, is not giving feedback, right? But then the other part is feedback is one of those critical drivers in making any kind of financial decision for your home. Think about how easy it is, instead of just sending these random emails or phone calls, organizing it in one document so they could look at all the feedback. That's another engagement point. Your weekly communication calls, the exact predictable communication plan that gets you the exact information in the time frame that works, the exact information you want in the time frame that works best for you, that weekly call. Put that in the calendar as well. So here's the other part too: perceived value, actualized value. When they get a calendar filled with dates and launch dates and key events and everything else like this, do they feel like they're getting a lot for their money? 100%, because when they click your calendar, it's going to be filled with different days and deadlines and information. Versus all these things that just live in their brain, which is just like a sea of information, where you can't find a pebble, a rock, or a boulder because you don't know what you're looking for. That is effective engagement. And same thing with the communication plan. Same thing when the house goes into contract. Same thing with coordinating their moving stuff, right? Remember we talked about buyers having that calendar from contract to close? Should the same thing for a seller. Just use AI to say, I'm selling my home in blank amount of days. I need you to make me a week by week schedule. Heck, let me do this right now. I am selling my home and my house just went under contract. I have 60 days to move and don't want moving to be overwhelming or feel like everything has been pushed through the last minute. I get stressed out easily and need my move to be a week by week process versus all at once. I need you to account for everything I need to do to be out of my home and into a new home over 60 days. Make a calendar that outlines in table format what I need to do each week with detailed descriptions, activities, and also a supplemental overview of the timeline. Let me just share my screen here. So if you see the prompt, it started doing this, right? Like book your movers, right? I need you to account for when to reach out for quotes, when to have a company secured, and factor this into the timeline. Was that just helpful for everybody?
Wow. Will this
So
be on the recording, Chirag?
I'm gonna put the link in right now.
Oh, great.
So everyone click this link. There it is. Now, again, I'm gonna go back to engagement, right? How much more of an enhanced luxury experience is having something like this for someone? Does anyone do this currently? What do you, for those of you who, Gwen, I saw you nod your head, and then Cherish, you're next. How are you doing this currently? You gotta mute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I do something very similar every step of the way. I've never done it with ChatGPT though. I've always just done it myself. I've had a couple of hiccups with ChatGPT. Unrelated to this, I tried to get ChatGPT to develop a newsletter for current events in my area, and it was a disaster. I mean, it just was filled with bad information. Maybe garbage in, garbage out, I don't know. I thought I was being very specific, but I got events that weren't even happening in places that weren't even in business anymore. So I don't know.
No. Focus. Hold on. Don't. You're going on a detour here.
Okay,
Are
sorry.
you doing this moving process with your clients, and how are you doing it with them?
I'm doing a
attention.
chart. I'm doing a chart like this, but I'm doing it, I was developing it myself. I wasn't doing it through ChatGPT.
Okay, so you're not currently doing it. It's something you're working on.
No, I'm currently giving them this same information, just not through ChatGPT.
Okay, so when you sit down with me and you give me the information, what is the conversation like?
It's more of a bulleted form. It's not in a chart like this. I like this chart. This is nice.
So, okay. So you just give them a bullet list, and what's the follow through and follow up? Is
I,
the list, is it broken down by week by week?
no, it's just a list of things that they need to accomplish. Start
Got it.
decluttering your home, collect moving supplies. Create a detailed inventory of what you have and what you want to give away, and, plan for.
So think about this, right? Every week it has to be clear, concise, and quantifiable what they need to do. And then you keep your weekly communication call and you just check in. Did you get the movers? Do you need anything? Like, are we on timeline? How can I be helped? And that's it, because that's what they're going to remember, right?
More often than not that, oh, I got busy, I didn't do that, and
It doesn't, that's life, right? You can't
Yeah.
control that. And you just listen, as long as you're on top of them saying, okay, like, what can we do to make sure that this gets done? Right.
Sure.
And you can say for next week, we have this and this. It just shows you're organized. It shows that you care, and it shows that you provide a professional service.
Correct.
Got it. Cherish. Thank you.
Yeah, I provide something similar for the contract to close process, and what they may be, needing regarding movers, transferring utilities, et cetera. And that, but I don't follow up with them to check in on that process. And it is broken down basically week by week. But again, it's something that I send them. And I think what I'm hearing is that to enhance the experience, it's really about the follow-up and also the orientation to that specific calendar or list in the beginning.
Exactly. It's just organized. Like that's all that it is. It's just taking all of this stuff, breaking it down, and like being instead of like showing value, it's like be a value. Like, this is how you can be a value.
Sure.
Moving sucks. Like, if someone called me every week and did this, I'd be like, oh my God, this is great. Right. So this is just one facet of seller engagement. Andrea, then Namita, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think it's just, I'm reflecting on how things could be better.
Just simple, just make this and just make it your own. Copy my prompts, put them in there, add the questions and context and make it specific to your market. And then
Well,
just,
it's that, but it's the follow-up. I think that's what I'm noticing in my own process. It's the initial orientation to this specific thing, and then also adding it to the follow-up. So
yeah.
thank you.
And the other thing, it's like, I would also go in there and I would write, well, this is for a seller. I'm an agent. What do I need to do each week? And what are the like, just ask it. Like, eventually it'll just build it out. Great. And build this into a table. And then you could sit there and each week copy and paste into a calendar all the information, right? Like, it takes a little bit of extra time, but in the end, this is how you get more referrals. It's easier to do this and just like consistently look for new clients. Namita. Or Andrea.
So, yeah, if you're going for an interview, for a listing, do you share this calendar with them at that time?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. And for the same thing, I did get an email saying, we are thinking of selling our house. We'd like to talk to you. And then we talked about time. We spoke for a quick chat at given time. But I could not get from her, I asked several open-ended questions. What is their motivation for moving? I mean, we are flexible. Is it a good time? Is end of the year good, or is spring better, or summer better?
It doesn't, well, look, the simple thing is I would say moving is not something anyone wakes up and gets excited about. It's actually very challenging and can be a frustrating process, relocating your life. So what makes this the right time to make a move? And then they're going to answer the question. They're going to say, great, as a direct result of moving, what are you most excited about happening? They're going to tell you what that is. In a perfect world, how soon or how much later would you like that to happen? And then they're going to give you an answer.
I tried that, Chirag, I really did. But I got no definite answer. They don't know where they want to go, but they're thinking whether it's a good time or not, and what's a good time, and to provide data as to.
And that's what they want. You provide it to them. They don't know what they're doing. They have this, so they have an idea of selling their home, but they don't know anything else.
And they're interviewing other agents. Yeah, they
Great,
found
who
me.
cares? It's even better.
They found me on the website or someplace and then called me, emailed me.
That's fine. Bring your session to live role playing. Those are the best calls for these types of things.
Yeah, I will.
Andrea, and then we have to wrap up.
There was a gentleman, good morning, everybody. There was a gentleman who spoke on a call a week or so ago. Condo, I feel like the guy's out of DC, maybe his name is Arash. And he said his client is like a man-child or whatever.
Yep.
And like, there are people who legitimately have processing disorders. This would be so helpful for them if we only gave it to them in week by week doses. If we give them 2 months worth of stuff, they might go into breakdown. So you have to know who you're talking to, but this would be a very good tool for something like that. And someone like that. Okay, so this week's tasks was A, B, and C. Were you able to, oh, you did A and B? Okay, great. How can I support you with getting C done? It would make it, break it down and be very, very helpful.
Know your client. You know, they always say, don't play the game, play the man, right? And this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, everybody. On that note, I will see you all at 12:30. If you'd like to bring this scenario to live role playing to me, those are perfect to go through these types of scenarios. We like to keep this more higher level here. And look, it's so great to see how many of you are taking the processes, using them, right? And look, like anything else, you'll adapt it, you'll make it your own. And in time, as you use it, it's just going to get better and better, right? And think about when you go on a pitch, how many agents don't have anything like this? Because the moving part is one of the most challenging parts actually in the whole move.
Recording in progress.
So is this 9:30 Pacific time? Sorry.
Yep, 9:30 Pacific.
Yeah,
All right,
9:30.
everybody, with love in my heart, I love you all. Come to live role playing, please. We had a great conversation this morning. We'll have another great one today, and I will see you all later. Bye, everybody.